Welcome to Darkened Files, where the shadows speak. We uncover the untold stories behind domestic violence and brutal crimes, exposing the chilling truths hidden in plain sight. Real cases, real voices, no sugarcoating. If you're ready to step inside the darkest corners of reality, you're in the right place.
And we want to start, though, with a disturbing situation here in Minnesota, just west of the metro. A woman allegedly bludgeoned to death at her place of work in Cokato yesterday. Prosecutors say the suspect has now been charged with murder for that attack and told authorities that he just didn't like her. Fox 9's Corin Hoggard is live at the Wright County Jail. And so, Corin, the criminal charges revealed just terrible details about this investigation.
Yeah, Kelsey, David Delong made his first court appearance this morning. He's accused of murder, of essentially walking into work yesterday morning at 6 a.m. and the first thing he did was to grab a sledgehammer and bludgeon to death 20-year-old Amber Czech. The workday started and ended quickly Tuesday at fabricating company Advanced Process Technologies.
And it just shows, how fleeting life can be. This poor victim, 20 years old, went to work yesterday morning and didn't come home.
Wright County Attorney Brian Lutz filed a murder case against David Delong, a 3-year employee at APT. Investigators say surveillance video recorded a lot of Delong's attack first thing in the morning. They say he put on gloves, grabbed the sledgehammer from the woman's workstation, and then hit her with it.
The victim is off scene from the video, but the video shows the suspect swinging a pretty significant incised sledgehammer 5 times and attacking the victim.
They say the woman was standing for the first blow, but then Delong hit her 4 times after she was on the ground. This is currently charged as a second-degree murder, but prosecutors could take it to a grand jury to get a first-degree murder indictment. That requires proof of premeditation, and Lutz says the surveillance video is proof, and so is DeLong's confession.
He acknowledged in that statement that he intended to kill the victim. So it does seem like we have premeditation available in this case.
Workplace violence is actually more common than you might think. In the U.S., workplace homicides happen almost 10 times every week. And in Minnesota, workplace assaults happen almost 20 times every week. Live in Wright County, Corin Hoggard, Fox 9.
Imagine finishing a murder and walking up to your coworker like it's nothing. That's exactly what David Delong did. "I hit her with your hammer," he said. "She is by your toolbox. She is gone." Just like that, no panic, no remorse, just facts. The her he's talking about? 20-year-old Amber Czech. The hammer? A sledgehammer he grabbed from her workstation. The reason? He told police he'd been planning it for a while because he didn't like her. Didn't like her. That's it. That's the reason a young woman with her whole life ahead of her is dead. Now, let me back up and tell you who Amber Czech was, because her name deserves more than just being attached to how she died. Amber was 20 years old. She graduated from a welding technology program at Hutchinson High School in Minnesota. And girl, she was proud of what she did. Welding isn't easy. It takes skill, focus, steady hands, and Amber had all of that. Her former advisor, Dennis, who knew her from freshman year all the way through senior year, remembered her as fun-spirited, bubbly, the kind of person you wanted to be around. He was also her assistant coach on the basketball team, where she was known for her 3-point shooting skills. He said she'd be hitting them left and right. When Amber graduated, she didn't waste time. She got herself a job at Advanced Process Technologies in Cokato, Minnesota. It's a manufacturing facility, a fabricating company, the kind of place where people clock in early, put in the work, and clock out. Amber loved going to work. Her parents said she was amazing at her job, that she took pride in what she built with her hands. Dennis even joked with her back in August about not losing a finger and whether they trusted her with a laser. That's the kind of relationship they had. Light, easy, full of promise. Amber wasn't just good at welding, she was great at it, and she knew it. That confidence, that joy she had in her work, that's what made her show up every day, ready to go. She had her whole future in front of her. dreams to chase, skills to sharpen, a life to build. And then there was David Bruce Delong, 40 years old, from Watkins, Minnesota. He'd been working at Advanced Process Technologies for 3 years. Same facility as Amber, same shifts, same break rooms. He clocked in, he clocked out. And somewhere in those 3 years, he decided he didn't like Amber Czech. Not because she did anything to him, not because they had some big falling out or argument. According to what he told investigators later, it was because of a look. A bad look, he called it. Something she did at some point earlier that stuck with him. A facial expression, a glance. Something so small that most people wouldn't even remember it 5 minutes later. But David Delong? He remembered it, and he let it grow. He let it sit in his mind until it became something he couldn't let go. He didn't like her, and that dislike turned into something else. Something cold. Something calculated. Here's the thing that should make your skin crawl. This wasn't a snap decision. This wasn't a heat of the moment thing. Delong told investigators he had been planning to kill Amber for some time. Not days, not weeks, some time. He woke up with this thought, went to bed with it, clocked in and out of work with it, looked at Amber across the facility, and thought about the day he'd do it. And that day came on November 11th, 2025. Let's talk about what that morning looked like, because the details matter. It's Tuesday, 6 a.m. The sun probably isn't even all the way up yet. Amber clocks in at Advanced Process Technologies, just like she always does. She's ready to work. She's got her station, her tools, her routine. David Delong clocks in too. He's got his station, his tools, his routine. But this morning, his routine includes murder. The facility has surveillance cameras. They're everywhere in places like this. Safety regulations, liability, all of that. Those cameras captured what happened next. And honestly, I need y'all to sit with how deliberate this was. Delong puts on work gloves, not because he's about to start his shift, not because he's handling materials. He puts them on because he's about to commit a murder, and he doesn't want to leave fingerprints. Then he walks, not runs, walks, from his workstation over to Amber's area. Amber's there, probably checking her equipment, getting ready to start her day. She doesn't know what's coming. How could she? Delong gets to her station and grabs a sledgehammer. Not his sledgehammer, hers, a tool from her workstation. And then, without a word, without a warning, without giving this young woman a chance to even turn around, he swings. The first swing is horizontal. Investigators said that's consistent with Amber's standing. She's upright, probably working. Maybe she heard him coming and turned around. Maybe she didn't. Either way, that first hit connects. A sledgehammer to the head. Horizontal force. Amber goes down, and Delong doesn't stop. He swings again. Downward this time. Then again. Then again. Then again. 4 more times. 4 downward strikes while Amber Czech is on the ground, while she's already down, already dying. The surveillance video shows him swinging this sledgehammer, and investigators said it was significant in size. This wasn't some small tool. This was a sledgehammer. 5 swings total. 5 times David Delong decided that Amber's life didn't matter. By the time he's done, there's blood on the floor. There's a bloody hammer on the floor. And there's something else. Pink matter. That's what the 911 dispatcher said when the call came through. We're seeing pink matter found on the floor near the patient. Pink matter, brain tissue, pieces of Amber Czech on the factory floor where she used to clock in every day and do her job. The 911 call came in around 6 a.m. We need an also ambulance for a medical at 170 Swindow Boulevard, Northwest for a 22-year-old female. Major head trauma, blood loss, blow to the head, possibly unwitnessed. She is not alert, but is breathing. But even as they were rushing to get there, even as the dispatcher was coordinating with the crew, the updates kept coming. There is a bloody hammer on the floor near the patient. Then, the one that makes your stomach drop. We have started Lifelink. Lifelink. That's the air ambulance. That's what they call when somebody is so critically injured that every second counts. But for Amber, it didn't matter. By the time deputies from the Wright County Sheriff's Office got there, by the time medical personnel arrived and tried to do what they could, it was too late. Amber Czech was pronounced dead at the scene. 20 years old, at her workstation, killed by a coworker with a sledgehammer because he didn't like her. Now, here's where it gets even more disturbing. After Delong finished killing Amber, he didn't run. He didn't panic. He didn't try to hide what he did. He walked over to another coworker and said, "I hit her with your hammer. She is by your toolbox. She is gone." Read that again. "I hit her with your hammer." Not even his own tool. He used someone else's sledgehammer, told them about it, and just stood there like he just finished a regular task. "She is by your toolbox. She is gone. Gone." Like Amber was an inconvenience he'd just handled. That coworker, understandably, probably didn't even know how to process what they'd just heard. But it didn't matter. The truth was already unfolding. The 911 call had already gone out. Law enforcement was already on the way. And the surveillance cameras had already captured everything. When investigators arrived and started piecing together what happened, they didn't have to wonder. They didn't have to speculate. They had video footage. Clear footage. Footage that showed David Delong walking from his station to Amber's, putting on gloves, grabbing the sledgehammer, and swinging. 5 times. The video didn't show Amber directly because of the camera angle, but it showed him. It showed the weapon. It showed the swings. It showed the intent. And when they interviewed Delong, he didn't deny it. He didn't lawyer up and stay quiet. He confessed. He told investigators exactly what he did and why he did it. He said he didn't like Amber Czech. He said he'd been planning to kill her for some time. And when they asked him why, what could possibly make him want to take someone's life, he pointed to a look. A bad look she gave him at some point earlier. A look. Let me tell you something. People get bad looks every single day. At work, at the grocery store, in traffic, on the street. Most people let it go. They move on. They forget about it by lunchtime. But David Delong, he held on to it. He nurtured it. He let it turn into a reason to kill. Wright County Attorney Brian Lutz said it plainly. He acknowledged in that statement that he intended to kill the victim. Premeditation. That's the word. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't a workplace fight that got out of hand. This was a plan. A plan that Delong carried in his head for however long, and then executed the first chance he got. The Wright County Sheriff's Office didn't just have Delong's confession. They had layers of evidence that all pointed to the same conclusion. This was intentional. This was planned. This was murder in its most calculated form. The surveillance footage alone was damning. It showed the entire sequence. Delong walking with purpose. Delong putting on those gloves. Delong selecting the weapon. Delong swinging. And here's what makes it even more clear. Investigators noted that the first swing was horizontal, consistent with Amber standing at her workstation. That means he approached her while she was upright, probably working, probably completely unaware. Then came the 4 downward strikes after she fell, after she was already on the ground, after she was already incapacitated. That's not defense. That's not a moment of panic. That's execution. Investigators reviewed every frame of that footage. They documented the size of the sledgehammer, the angle of the swings, the timeline of events. They talked to other employees at Advanced Process Technologies, trying to piece together whether anyone had seen signs of trouble between Delong and Amber. Had there been arguments? Threats? Any indication that something like this was coming? And here's what they found. Nothing. No big blow-ups. No documented conflicts. No HR complaints. Just a 40-year-old man who quietly held a grudge over something as insignificant as a facial expression and decided that it warranted taking a life. The company paused production at the facility for the week. Advanced Process Technologies issued a statement saying, "We are heartbroken by yesterday's tragedy, working closely with law enforcement and supporting our employees." Heartbroken. That's the word they used. And honestly, what else can you say when someone clocks in for their shift and ends up murdered by a coworker? But the investigation wasn't just about what happened in that moment. It was about understanding who David Delong was and whether there were warning signs that got missed. Investigators dug into his background, his employment history, his interactions with other workers. They reviewed his statements, looking for anything that might explain how a person gets to the point where they plan and execute a murder over something so trivial. And what they kept coming back to was his own admission. "I didn't like her. I had been planning to kill her for some time." Those are his words, not a momentary rage, not an impulsive decision. Planning, for some time. That phrase, "some time," is what haunts you. How long is some time? Days? Weeks? Months? How many shifts did he pace us? Work alongside Amber, knowing what he intended to do? How many times did he pass her in the hallway, sit near her during breaks, exist in the same space while carrying the weight of that plan? County Attorney Brian Lutz looked at all the evidence and said what everyone was thinking. It does seem like we have premeditation available in this case. Available. That's prosecutor speak for "we've got him." David Bruce Delong was arrested and charged with second-degree intentional murder. In Minnesota, that carries a maximum sentence of 40 years in prison. But prosecutors weren't stopping there. They made it clear they were evaluating whether to pursue first-degree premeditated murder charges, which carries a much heavier sentence. Here's the difference. Second-degree intentional murder means you intended to kill someone, but it wasn't necessarily planned out in advance. First-degree premeditated murder means you thought about it, you planned it, and then you did it. And based on everything Delong said, based on the surveillance footage showing him methodically putting on gloves and selecting a weapon, based on his confession that he'd been planning this, prosecutors felt confident they could prove premeditation. Delong made his first court appearance. Bail was set at $2 million. $2 million. That's not the kind of number you post and walk out. That's the kind of number that keeps you exactly where you are behind bars while you wait for your case to move through the system. His next court appearance was scheduled for November 24th. Investigators continued their work, reviewing every piece of footage, every statement from coworkers, every detail of both Amber's and Delong's backgrounds. They wanted to make sure that when this case went to trial, there would be no gaps, no questions, no room for doubt. The case itself is pretty open and shut. You've got video evidence. You've got a confession to a coworker. You've got a confession to investigators. You've got the murder weapon right there on the scene. You've got the victim at her workstation where she was supposed to be safe. There's no mystery here about what happened or who did it. The mystery, if you can even call it that, is why. Why does a 40-year-old man decide that a 20-year-old woman deserves to die because he didn't like her? Why does a look, a glance, a momentary expression become something worth killing over? Why does workplace conflict, if you can even call it that, escalate in someone's mind to the point where murder becomes the solution? Those are the questions that don't have good answers. Because the truth is, there is no logical explanation. There's no reasoning that makes sense. David Delong made a choice, multiple choices actually. He chose to hold on to his dislike. He chose to let it fester. He chose to plan. He chose to act. And Amber Czech paid the price for all of those choices with her life. The impact of Amber's death rippled through the entire community of Cokato and beyond. Her parents were devastated. They lost their daughter, a young woman they'd raised, supported, watched grow into someone skilled and passionate about her work. They told reporters that Amber was an amazing welder, that she loved going to work every day, that she was great at her job. And now they're left with memories and questions and a grief that no parent should have to carry. Dennis, her former advisor and assistant basketball coach, spoke about the kind of person Amber was. She's just bubbly, fun-spirited, great kid to be around. She's going to be sadly missed. He remembered joking with her about welding, about trusting her with a laser, about not losing a finger. Those conversations that seemed light and easy at the time now carry a different weight. Because Amber didn't lose a finger in some workplace accident. She lost her life to workplace violence. Friends and former teammates remembered her three-point shooting skills, her energy on the court, the way she made people feel comfortable around her. They remembered someone who had potential, who had plans, who had a future that got stolen in less time than it takes to drink a cup of coffee. And then there's the broader conversation that Amber's death forces us to have: workplace violence. It's more common than people think. His next court date is November 24th. That's when we'll start to see how the prosecution plans to move forward, whether they'll add charges, whether Delong will maintain his confession or suddenly develop a defense strategy, whether he'll show any remorse for what he did or continue to act like Amber's life was just an inconvenience he had to eliminate. Remember Amber Czech. Remember her smile. Remember her skill. Remember her spirit. Remember that she mattered. Remember that she was here. And remember that she deserved better than what she got. Rest in peace, Amber. You deserved so much more.